Everyone, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Matt Breen. Jessica Bowman has the night off. New tonight, the Sioux City City Council is a step closer to approving an increase in sewer rates for residents and industry to supplement costs for a $465 million project to refurbish the city's wastewater treatment plant. Tonight, the City Council voted to move the second of 3 readings of an ordinance to increase those sewer rates, but the City Council included an amendment to the sewer rate structure for large industry. Under the amendment, industry would now be charged a 5% rate increase from July 1st, 2023 to January 1st, 2024. Then those industries will face a 25% increase starting January 1st of 2024. Residential rates will stay under the same structure from the first reading of the ordinance, which includes a 20% increase starting July 1st. Sioux City Mayor Bob Scott abstained from the vote, but says he believes all 3 readings of the sewer rate increase will pass.
Third reading's probably going to pass next week. It's pretty obvious that the votes are here, and that's okay as long as we continue to have dialogue.
Chris McGowan, who's the president of the Siouxland Chamber of Commerce, was at tonight's meeting to represent the city's large industries, which would see a yearly rate increase of over $1 million. Because of the expense, McGowan wants the city to slow down and be collaborative with industries when looking at the increase.
That we need to bring everyone together to sit down and communicate to make sure that we get the very best value proposition. Unfortunately, our community's track record in wastewater leaves a little bit to be desired. We need to make sure that we get this right.
If passed by the City Council, the proposed sewer rate increase will take effect July 1st. The Council must still approve the third and final reading of that ordinance before the new rates will take effect. Once again, under the proposed ordinance, residential rates will increase by 20%, and the price paid depends on how much wastewater a home generates. For example, a home which generates 6,000 gallons of wastewater a month could see an increase of roughly $8 per month starting July 1st.